policy. So you have to include that is a very important step to it to become much better. If you make smaller projects with a lot of them, it is too much. So it takes some time preparation to work. And no preparation for that. So it's nice when you are working with. I work with some clients who give me work, on a regular basis. But then it's not as if you have to do a full time.
That's great. That's at least on my
side. I get to do a lot of other stuff that I wasn't able to do before, which is voluntary. It's not paid for. I can do it because I have the time. Yeah, and it's nice. It's nice. It keeps your mind moving. Let's see when I go back to
That's why the old one had it after.
We start with the session. More people are coming. They're on the way. अभी ये session खत्म हुआ से थोड़ा. Oh, कुछ वाली में तो 2 more minutes. Yeah, because people are just start. So, good morning everyone.
Good morning. I don't think you need it. No?
Yeah, I think for now it's okay.
Yeah.
So, good morning everyone again. Our first session of the day is Peeping into Practices, Policies and Platforms by the Institute of Social Studies Trust, a non-profit organization working towards bringing social change with a focus on the livelihood, work and well-being of vulnerable communities. I would like to call upon our respected speakers, Ms. Anvisha Ghosh, Research Fellow and Program Lead from Institute of Social Studies Trust, and Pranita-Digital, Research Consultant from ISST.
Good morning to, I'll take the mic because I have a very bad throat. So, yeah. So, good morning to all of you. I welcome you to this masterclass on by Institute of Social Studies Trust. So here, the masterclass is titled Engendering Practices and Policies in the Platform Economy, discussing the challenges and way forward. So at ISST, we have been over the years doing some work on platform economy, on copies, and we have a QR code which has our work on related to digitality that ISST has done, and it also has other publications that ISST has done over the last 40 years. So for this particular session, I think this has already been given, just an introduction to ISST. I'll be just giving you a brief on what are the ISST's thematic research areas. So ISST has been working for past 40 years. Now that we have completed 40 years of work, we are trying to build thematic basis for our work and see that what themes we have worked on and how these themes can be carried forward. So first, coming to gender-based violence in work. So this particular theme of gender-based violence, the violence that is perpetuated through denial of constitutional rights to workers. When they are denied their right to carry out the work of vending, what kind of harassment they face from the state, what kind of harassment they face from the police. So all those kind of work and challenges are covered under this thematic. Next we come to precarious work and care. So here we are not talking only about informality but also about precarity. So for this session, for this theme, it talks about increasing precarity in work for all kinds of livelihoods with no or very minimal form of social security. And this is also linked to the crisis of social, probably know or have experienced that we do not have a care infrastructure. We do not have proper childcare systems. So how does that figure into women's work, and how does that increase the precarity in their work as well as their lives? Next theme seeks to understand characteristics and nature of social movements, where these movements are seen as a way to address layered marginalities and vulnerabilities. Under this thematic, we kind of want to bring all the stakeholders together who are associated with a movement, who face marginalities, and how we can build a movement together and also understand how movements have historically been built. Coming to our last theme of gender and digitality, under which this masterclass is also happening. So for gender and digitality, this theme argues for the importance of understanding gendered experiences of digitality as it shapes and defines the new landscape of work for women in India. As we know that more and more work has been sourced through digital platforms as form of gig work, how does that affect different sections of the society differently, your work, and then policies, and how do we then digitality, and how do we...
It is comfortable on how do you engender the hate, harassed by the police, etc. All across this last one day and today, there have been very small areas where people are talking about gender. It seems very general some economy. We found that women are mostly working in that kind of work, and dusra was the beauty work that women were generally also doing, and now into urban companies you are big, and we looked at food delivery. We did with around 30 people to act as hubs, but you would never really find 2020. This micro task. the whole day you'll be clicking on a mouse on pictures, for example, and you get task, you can just log in, put in, and pick up assignments. So that's these are all non-standard form of employment. The traditional form of having an employee, for example, employer, is now vanishing. So these and labor or partner. So there's no employee status per se. So as soon as there's no employee status, you cannot ask for any sort of grievance redressal or any social security such as pension or PF or, at most is what somebody gives you an accident insurance. But as we know, it is not as difficult because there is no, and mobility. To how do you then approach somebody who's a very mid-level or a very low-level manager to understand your grievances?
Can I ask the question?
Yeah.
In the gig economy like Ola or Swiggy and all, what kind of work are women doing? Are they also like delivery girls?
Yes,
or
yes.
Are they driving?
Yeah. So this is, I think it's a very important point to understand power hierarchy. How does the platform control its partners, quote unquote, or the workers, what we call them. So something called value asymmetry. So what happens is, because of profit maximization, all transaction costs will be pushed on to the rider or to the client, for that matter. So now if the Rajasthan gig worker, platform workers bill is coming, where you ensure 1% of that fund is going to come, they're definitely not going to take it out from their own pockets. They will try and tweak their algorithms in a way that comes from the customers and from the riders. Then the risk asymmetry. So all the risk involved in service delivery are shifted to the worker from the platform. So there's no sort of an understanding, there's no, even if there's a push button, you are, for example, said, you're told, don't use it unless there's an emergency. Now a beauty worker or a domestic worker, woman going into the house, it's a subjective thing. How safe am I feeling in that house? Or on the road for that matter, when I'm commuting. Now when is it that I'm supposed to touch that button? So there is that, that very layered idea of safety that is often put on to the worker to decide how you want to manage that situation, for example. Information asymmetry, it's one of the most important thing where data, and I think a lot of talk about data transparency has been going on. Ki sara data of where I'm going, what client I'm doing, what products am I using, how much time I'm on the road, is being continuously collected by the app. And the worker themselves are not sure what is being collected. They have no access to that data. So suppose today I am with Swiggy, tomorrow I want to go into Zomato or some other platform, you have to let go of your data completely because that you don't own, you have no access to your own personal data. While, for example, if today I'm with ISST, tomorrow I want to move on to another thing, my body of work is something that I can carry forward. So that is something. And then power asymmetry. The control mechanisms you put in place so that workers do not show any sort of protests. So you are blocked. As soon as you protest, your IDs will be blocked, and there's a whole system of how to get the IDs unblocked. So that is something. So there are ratings are another way of control mechanism. So the power lies in the hands of the platform and not the workers. And this sort of allows them, the platforms, to tweak algorithms according to their requirements, to change instantly your wages for the monthly because of the algorithm controls. So this is something what you call as unilateralism. One person holding all the power. So where are the women? So it's just here very basic statistics on the digital divide. We know that access in itself is, so can the platform economy, can it become an opportunity, for example, for women workers? As we know, we have very low female labor force participation in India, one of the worst in the country. So can the platform or the new emerging economy become something that women can participate? Now, the very simple thing, you need to have a smartphone, and for which you might have to negotiate a lot. So getting that itself is the first barrier to your access to an opportunity. So that is one thing. Then as I said, we found them located in very traditional jobs which are usually low paying, and there is no certain progress that one would see. So it constitutes like 11.8 and 2.3% respectively. Like these are some of the things. And yeah, as I said, opportunities are curtailed because of gender norm. So now the flexibility is something that what platforms term as. I think it's the biggest bubble or something that they've said that, well, you can opt your times. But how do you opt your times if you want to, say, earn a living wage? You will have to work those 8 to 12 hours on the road. Otherwise, you cannot. So in India, as compared to, say, other flexible timings, these are part-time, these are full-time jobs and livelihoods for people. Next.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
In the traditional occupations, are the women going to be better off if they move to, say, gig economy occupations, economically only,
Yeah.
not otherwise?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether this study is addressing that, but what is your sense?
So, for example, if we go to the one line, so I just wanted to highlight the fact that often apps, people think Uber is the only app, or urban app. The urban company is the app protocol, but it's not true. There are hundreds of apps. There are various types of apps. You know, these are the popular gig model freelance, the big ones with the big investments, etc. But there are hundreds of small salons, something called Jolly, Lux, this and that. So there are plenty of apps out there and plenty of places that women take up 2 jobs. If I don't get a job on, say, urban company, I'll take a Jolly job, you know, for 1 or 2. So there are various, so it's called the hybrid models. Some models where we saw in cab driving, women were driving with women-only cabs. So they would ferry children and women passengers during, say, school hours or office hours. Then they were free to, say, ride with Uber, etc. So there are various models. So whenever we come up with policy, the idea is always like, you know, there's an Uber and an Ola, but that's not the case. There are hundreds of platforms. So how do you regulate? For example, what is it, the policy, is it going to be same for all of them? Or is it going to be for some big 5 or big 6 out there? Yeah. Yeah, let's go to the next one. Yes, so this is where I'll come to your question as well. To begin with, the contracts. So a lot of, in a traditional system, you will not find contracts, right? But what we see here, and in a way it's also like argued by a lot of people that, you know, because you're getting some contract, it's some part of formal jobs. But what ILO states it's called the contracts of adhesion. So it's a one-way contract. When you get a job contract, you will negotiate. Here there is no negotiations, terms and conditions are these way work. So it's called contracts of adhesion with no scope of negotiations, often in a language which you will not understand, which is English. And a lot of women don't even know what to do with that piece of paper. So for domestic workers who are very, you know, completely illiterate or have studied very basic education, they don't even know what is these terms and conditions, for example. So as we said, the earning depends on the algorithms designed by the digital. So today so a lot of women say, you know, when we got on board, it's called the nudge effect. Similarly, for a new client, you'll get lots of discounts. So once you're hooked, then your discounts, etc. start going. Similarly, when you're a new rider or a new beauty platform worker, you get lots of tasks. So, you know, wow, this is wonderful. And then you hit that margin. And then your task starts reducing. And your commission starts getting bigger. So the freebies stop, basically. The commissions become higher, 30% commissions, as big as that. So it starts to plateau after a point. So it doesn't, so there is no, in a way they say, you know, we're building entrepreneurs, for example, but that's not the case. So income volatility, in fact, is a very big problem and challenge in today's day and work. A lot of riders will tell you that maintenance of the cars or the bikes, you know, the costs of your EMIs, most of the time, these are not even your cars or bikes. As soon as you sign up with, say, a Zomato or something, you will have some middleman standing outside saying, "Aap loan mein le lo two-wheeler," like that. You know, so you have to pay loans, you have to pay EMIs onto your car, etc. Next.
So there is a chance that people will move back to their traditional.
Yes, there are often times. So there are a lot of, so it's not something, while you want it to be a livelihood, eventually you might be doing 2-3 jobs even within that day.
Yes.
and then or you'll fall back to some other. This is a stopgap situation. First, in times of festivals, a lot of these young boys and girls will take up these jobs. I want to buy a smartphone, for example. So some boys will take it up, and there's a huge demand. So they'll start, becoming riders for e-commerce or for Zomato, Swiggy, and stop. During holidays, they might do that. A lot of this, but for some, definitely it's a livelihood, and they will do it for 8 to 12 hours. Wait for that commission. So a lot of times, what happens is you temp, and it will be next day when you get your ride. So that's how the algorithm works, and you miss out on that commission. So you have a long waiting period, which is often not counted as work by, say, Uber or Ola or any of the platforms, for that matter. Yeah, for women, for example, beauty workers, the initial investments are very high. I think this is something very important to understand. Women don't have assets. They don't own assets. They'll have to beg from their families, take loans from their families to actually do this. So something like an urban company wants you to pay 70,000. So that itself is a cutoff for a lot of women to be not able to get onboarded to something like an urban company platform. So you try and negotiate with the smaller platforms in the beginning. You have to earn your commissions in a way, right? Vehicle, security deposits, etc. Then the platform also uses a dual approach of incentives and penalties, as I said, waiting for commissions, etc. And that itself leads to all this high income volatility. So today I might earn like 7,000, tomorrow I might earn just 1,000. So it all depends upon that. One sec. Penalties, as I said, were wage cuts, rating systems. These are very subjective, as we all know. I can just rate somebody 1 star and it doesn't matter to me. But there's a high rate for retraining. You will not get any bookings for that time period, and you lose out on livelihood. So these are like the control mechanisms. Whereas I have a very bad Uber rating of 4.5, it doesn't matter because I'm a client paying, so I can get as many rides as I want. So disciplinary actions, etc., are all towards the so-called independent contractor who is not your employee. Yeah. Now, safety, I think this is one of the most biggest concerns for a women worker, more so than a male worker. There are sexual harassments. There were women who said, "मैं red chili powder लेके घूमती हूँ." There are eve teased on the road. Like this woman doesn't wear a Zomato T-shirt because she's been followed by men. So, "वो Zomato औरतें भी ले रही हैं," like that, and they will harass them on the streets, going into very unlit, dark spaces. Similarly, say for an Uber driver, a woman Uber driver, she says I don't plow after 8 o'clock, even if I don't get a commission. So there is a high gender wage gap within the platform economy also. And even if the algorithm is neutral, but the way it has been structured will make sure that a woman, because of the constraints of time, unpaid care work, there's a woman driver and there's biases in a lot of people. Women drivers are bad drivers. They'll give them bad ratings. They will cancel if there is any sort of woman there. So, do you want to ask something? Oh, sorry. Yeah. So these are the ways how, again, leads to the income volatility. What we saw, the smaller platforms are better in a way because somehow there are this one person that you might go and talk to if I need a maternity leave or something, or can I, take some leaves, etc. But in the Uber models, if I may say so, there's no such mechanism. So it's all onto you and how you want to manage your work, etc. A lot of time they depend upon their husbands and brothers to take them with those big kits. For example, the beauty workers. So a lot of time the husbands have to leave out on their businesses, small petty businesses, to come along with them. Yeah. So very quickly, the underlying features of the platform economy. So what makes it the way it is? The unilateralism, where I talked about the various risks, the asymmetry of risks. The second is they prioritize the exit, because now the competition is so high amongst workers that they don't, so there would be some space of negotiations a couple of years back, but now there are enough pool of workers. So it doesn't matter to them whether you've been trying to protest, I'll block your ID and that's that. And you might not even get onboarded again. based on the severity. So there's no dialogue, there's no voice, there's no negotiations happening. Again, ratings are control mechanisms. Then there are focus on short-term high profits rather than long-term changes. So it's not it's not sustainable beyond a point. Then the worker fungibility, what we saw, high in cab driving and what's this? Delivery girls, yeah. And moderate in beauty workers and delivery workers due to personal care components. So oftentimes women let go of opportunities, let go of careers to go back to their families. Long waiting hours, again, hypervigilance for tasks. So women say that while I'm cooking, my phone is always nearby so that I don't miss a task. Or for an Uber rider, you keep waiting for like the 10th ride for his commission. So there is a lot of hypervigilance and mental that is associated with gig work. There's no career progression. It's mostly short-term or to bridge employment. So as I said, the algorithm control leads to fatigue and exploited. Platform economy reinforces the platform client-worker hierarchical relationships. So you have to be the one wearing the mask, the gloves. Doesn't matter if the client doesn't wear, but the information lockdown, as I said, it owns all of your personal work information. Increased competition is now leading to higher chances of being blocked, and lower earnings. And micro-level monitoring and control over workers. So this is something that has come in new. So a lot of time a beauty worker would go to a place of work and, for example, somebody is not booked a facial, but might say you just do it and that entire amount comes to you, so you don't pay the commission to the platform. Now to control that, what the thing, so so for urban company, for example, all your products have to be brought from urban company. So if you have taken 5 sachets and if you have had say 3 bookings and you know that this is the number of products you're going to use, so as soon as the algorithm will point that by now you should have used your products, there will be a call coming into you. Why are you not using your products? What happened? So come back and use. So there are these micro level, so it's no more task based. It's going beyond the task of controlling how many bookings, how much product goes out of the window. Yeah, let's go. I think we go to the 3rd regulation. Final one. Yeah. So what is the regulation and social security like in the platform economy? Over the last 1 year, there has been a lot of interest in the platform workers. First, they were included in the code on social security. So they were recognized for the first time as a separate category of workers. Then that led to this very phenomenal act that has now come into thing. Rajasthan passed the Platform-Based Gig Workers Act, where you're going to register. So no matter which platform you're working on, you will get an ID. Even if you move between platforms, that remains you have to work continuously for 90 days and then you get social security. Now what kind of social security benefit, etc., is something that will have to come, we have to see in the near future. Karnataka is also almost ready with its act. Apparently it's going to come in soon. The Delhi NCR has promised, thanks to the election seasons now, a lot of movement is also happening in terms of this. What does it mean for a women platform worker? One good thing about this is you need not go anymore to register with the board, the Social Security board that's being planned under this. Initially you had to go personally, and a lot of time that means loss of livelihood. Women would not go, loss of documents, etc. But now it's all one. The other thing is that what would that mean? So for example, concern being maternity benefit. Will that be, now how is that going to be given out? So that is something that one waits to see what's going to happen. They continue to be independent contractors. The wage code was actually a missed opportunity. That could have been a place where, and globally there are various regulations that are now moving to the fact that they are employees and no more independent contractors. So you do have some responsibility towards your act, but India sort of missed out on the wage code. So they continue to be independent contractors. overlapping of identities in the domestic workers. So women domestic workers, interestingly, are not included in the Social Security Code. But if you're a women domestic worker on a gig platform, you do get included in this. So then what happens to your identity as a domestic worker and a gig worker? Because most of the time you're not a full-time gig worker in case of domestic workers. They try to retain their older employers because it's easy access to loans, etc. There's a relationship that they build. It's a safety network. And they take up these extra gigs for extra income, which are not like every daily basis or maybe 1 month that they might be going to a regular household. So under which identity does one register? Because you're also registered in the eSham portal as a domestic worker. So what happens to these interlinkages? Okay, yeah. The mandatory submission of Aadhaar for registration. I think this is something, it's more of an ethical issue today. What Nikhil Day yesterday mentioned, Aadhaar is not mandatory but compulsory. Now what does that mean? It's as simple as that you need to have documents. What we, for example, in my case, I'm somebody who should be having all her papers in order. There was a mistake where the rent agreement did not have my name on it. So I had to wait till my husband's Aadhaar had to get done, and then I had to go with his Aadhaar and get my Aadhaar. So it took me a year to get my Aadhaar updated when I moved houses. So imagine somebody of a migrant who's coming, and she's a woman, who's already struggling to get onto these platforms, etc. If every second you expected her to move from one house to the other, how many times are you supposed to update your Aadhaars? So that is a very problematic ethical issue, as we all understand here in this. Yeah. And maternity leave is something that needs to be thought about. The sexual harassment at the workplace, I think very, very important regulation for women workers, include them as gig workers, women gig workers. It can be extended to. But that does not, there is no understanding, there is no information that is made available to women even to access local committees if they have to file a complaint, for example. No support from platforms. So what happens if there is any sexual harassment in that case? And of course the various state laws around driving cabs and delivery. So for example the Delhi pollution, you might have, so all this then contribute to income volatility. Yeah. So thank you so much for your time. And these are the two studies. There are some studies here, the brief is here. Please help yourselves to these, which was part of the yeah. Over to you.
So because this is assigned as a master class, so after this presentation we'll be doing a group activity. So we will be giving you 2 case studies and forming 2 groups, and very simple case studies. These are fictional case studies inspired by real respondents that we have talked to. So each of the group will get roughly 10 to 12 minutes to look at the case study, and every case study is followed by 3 or 4 anchoring questions or discussion points, just to have a discussion among yourselves, and then come on here, go around the room and say 1, 2, so that all of you are divided into 2 groups. So we'll start with you. 1.
Do you want to, maybe you can take
so if
questions.
okay, let's do the questions.
Yeah.
Then maybe I can.
Yeah, maybe once we have the discussion, you may come up with yours.
Okay, so excuse me. So I'll do it. So 1, 2, 1, 2.
No, I have.
Okay. 1, 2, 1. Come to this side. Everybody from the group 2, please move here.
Quite
Okay, so group 1, this is the case study. I'll just give it to printouts. This is group 2. Yeah. So it's 11:04 right now. So it's 11:04 right now. You have till 11:20. So okay, so it's 11:04 right now. Please take till 11:18. Sorry for being so stickler with the time.
Can we have one more? From the case study. So should I read it? Sonam is a 23-year-old young mother, 15-year-old baby girl Laila. She lives in Gujarat.
That's okay.
अपने आप में डिस्कस करना है वो आके यहाँ प्रेजेंट करेंगे फिर आप साउंड कीजिए.
She left that work as she got married and moved to a different area in the city. But at resort, she conceived a child. She observed growing popularity and the daughter died. She got herself registered with this. In the previous month, she used to perform skin treatments, cleanups and facials. She got this from a socialist business. What happened?
Sure. I'll put on the asymmetries over there as well, so that you can just look at them and
So there is a possibility that that's why she's watching. The concerns are anyway, in my opinion, regular or whatever any other woman will face in any other woman if I am going by bus. I'm not a truck, I'm just a regular woman going by bus. In certain cities, I will not want to walk it out. Or, I mean, it's my own opinion, it's fine. I may or may not be sexually harassed, but I feel unsafe. You know, like you were saying. So security and safety concerns for women cab drivers are the same as any level.
When she, even if she's without a plan, she's on the road.
So there is safety concerns. Who's going to present? Tell me first. Road rage will not train wherever it happens in a life situation women might be at a disadvantage as compared to sort of talking about women males, but direct for women can be safety procedure three dimensions. A woman might not but it's like the common just statistics, schools, women may be once I was so doing something unconventional, how is that going to impact what women are feeling, how they are treated, all those things. When you are driving, that time you will not have the support. You have to be driving alone, but you will, when you get into the probably go through someone who's already there, who can tell you that it's not that bad, it's going to be okay, whether male or female, right? Is that what you said? Yeah. I mean, in terms of dealing with your app, I guess, but in terms of when you're driving, how do you manage? Both from men and women. Share. Yeah. But as males, what would you feel about being driven around by a man? I mean, by a woman. Because typically what happens is even in homes, even if the woman can drive, when the family goes out, it's the man who sits behind the wheel. How would you feel being driven around by a woman? Because it's also true that there's a common popular perception that women don't drive as well as men. Is that right? That's what I think all the time.
That may be right, but I would not be okay with anybody as long as they have a driving license.
And okay. So if they are on Uber and some app, so you expect them to have done that verification and have ensured that they have good drivers, right?
So take another
They're all a part
kind
of the
tracker,
system.
But you share that video guys are just but largely speaking, I remember when I was learning how to drive and my husband was trying to help me, which was like totally not helping. So one day I stopped the car and I got out and said, you get out, and I drive myself, So I have to leave the car because he always finds problems.
And I've seen so many women complain about men yelling at them when they're trying to learn how to drive.
So, again, it's an individual example, so I don't want to use it in that sense. But like what you saying about that women drive less well than most of us. So I think we are talking about women compared to in comparison with the app. So what is the reason? So definitely for instance the contract. They gave her a piece of paper and they didn't try to make her understand it, which gives you a sense that they may then either they didn't want really to put any effort in her understanding it because there are some provisions which are pro app and not fair in some sense there and or it is simply that okay, it's not my problem, we have to put it but most likely as the presenter was telling us that it's totally
let's now
like a contract
come together and discuss. So you can choose to kind of talk from here, or if you guys want to come here and have. So at the beginning, so we can take 3-4 minutes to talk about the whole thing, and at the beginning just summarize the case study for the other group to know.
So basically the case study, so this is Karmoni Vairna, a final year BTech from Vienna Vignan Jyoti. So the basic case study goes around, and endangering the practices and policies in the platform economy, discussing the challenges and the way forward. So basically there is a young mother Soham who is working as an daily wage construction worker, but had to shift to another platform. Like she had to work in a beauty parlor, like she had to change to a platform. During that she faced a lot of issues, like she had to conceive a child. She did not she was new to the platform, and she was really did not have financial support from our side. And basically coming to the point, she had to buy a mobile phone. Along with that, she had to buy a kit. But the basic place point she was given was 8 days training about how to do this basically facial things and that all. She was basically a woman, like she hadn't knew about these platforms, and she was juggling around the things. So basic platform opportunities and challenge barriers. So she had access to the platform, but a child support. So she had to conceive the child, so she had no proper, like she had to take a break off in between. So that had been an issue over there. And other one is the access to the resources. Like she was called in odd times. She had to go there. She had a vehicle trouble, so she had to take another modes of transportation. That was a big issue over there. And also capacity building. This was a basic discussion points for this question. And another one is platform support mechanism to women as primary caregivers in her family. So basically coming to the point, like she was only given a 8-day training support. That was only the one thing plus point over here. But coming to the other points, like she wasn't supported from our side, so she had to pay her own. Other one is flexibility in the platform economy, like what does it entail, and discuss the asymmetric platform economy, like value, risk and information power. So the timings, like the odd timings there were, and also with that the risk and privacy, security issues, and also the flexibilities of working. So she wasn't, like she had to work in a flexible time, so that was an issue. And another one is she was like as she was a woman worker, she hadn't that much power to even go forward and do something on her own. So that was a major issue over there. Thank you.
Just want to clarify one point, that father-in-law used to work as a daily wage worker before he was like bedridden. So this was one point which was missed, and then later on, before her marriage, she used to be in another place, and after she got married and with the husband, she shifted to another place. So that was the again.
You guys want to add anything? Are you done? Yeah.
No, I think he did broadly bring in all the capsule points and challenges that the women faced as new to the gig economy. So flexibility, as the value was that she had access to, she got information about that resource that she could join. But again, the risk here was that time crisis, the lack of support which he mentioned in capacity building, or even the resources that the facilitators or the gig that was provided to her as a 7-day or an 8-day training session, and nothing beyond that. So that was like the biggest barrier that she faced in terms of both support from resources.
Okay, I'll invite you to whoever wants to come, or if you want to do it as a group. You can, if you want to just sit there and talk, you can do that also. You want a mic?
Yeah, I think definitely he's very soft.
So to give a brief about the person, Asma is a 28-year-old cab driver, and she has been working with the platform for ferrying women and school kids for 2 years. And she works for about 12 hours a day, and Yeah, so her company also collaborates with Uber and has told them if they do not feel safe, they can cancel a ride. But being a women driver, she has many times been the recipient of expressions of shock from the customers and all that. So the discussion points were mostly on security and safety concerns for women cab drivers, which, I mean, again, I think this is very perceptive for, I mean, how a person, navigates through this from her intangibles and not from the physical parameters. But yeah, one thing we were thinking about is, as a group, is about isolation. I mean, in that particular situation, you are sort of alone. How people come to rescue is a very subjective thing again. So, but that sense of isolation of how to navigate through this challenge is one thing, and also this one example of in White Tiger, the person who is training, the person tells, "Rasta ek jungle hai, and you have to fight your way through, and you have to be very assertive," and that probably is a very difficult thing. I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible, but for a women cab driver to assert and that space is a bit difficult. Also, one of the discussion point was women against gender stereotypes and unconventional roles in platform economy. I think because there is no visibility of women in a certain role, it definitely is a challenge for the someone spearheading it, and of course anybody here spearheading it would of course have the self-doubt and have their own support system. They just can't jut into it hum hai types. So yeah, so they would definitely have their own support system, if not in that point of time, but yeah, certainly. So check for what kind of asymmetries one sees in this case study. Of course, everything is relatable, and you gave a better light over that, I guess. So yeah, not much of value addition, but thoda bahut.
So in this case, I think the case study clearly mentions that the girl was given a contract but she hadn't read it because it was in English. Nobody made the effort to explain it to her. So either the app, either the conditions of work which were enshrined in this one page were already unfavorable to her, or it doesn't matter to the app owners whether she understands it or not. They are least concerned about her own understanding of. So in such a situation, if something goes against the contract, how is it that she is even going to bring it up? Forget about enforcing it. So that we did not actually discuss other asymmetries. We didn't have the time, but this one we did because of the contract. On the other things that hours in isolated places and things like that. So woman as a cab driver, when she's isolated alone in her cab, or with even with customers, she is alone by herself. So she has also a gender differentiation where men are always, or not always, but at least seem more capable of dealing with these things than women. So just to add that.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to add, yeah. Thank you so much. I think I hope this little exercise also helped you to sort of process what was done in the presentation. I'd also like to pick up on the isolation point. I think this is also a hallmark of the gig economy, the platform economy, is what it's called as atomization of workers. So because, generally there used to be a factory where workers would meet each other, you would unionize, demand, protest, etc. In this case, because you are going to somebody's houses, or you are at a smut snob, or be a part of a union, or get information. Now there's something like the Rajasthan gig worker, but suppose I have no idea what to do with it.
I know there is this law, but what am I supposed to do with it? In every humdrum day of life, I don't really try to look for it, and I have no access to information because of this isolation of a worker, like in this case of a cab driver or a beauty worker going to somebody's house. Now, what can you do as a policy, or what can the platforms do? I think better safety measures. Just like you have a help button for the the passenger, where the police gets informed, can that be done with more, or can that be more popularized for even women to come into cab driving, for example, which is a very non-traditional occupation in general. So this is something, these are some of the things that one needs to build on when we talk about policies, etc.
Was that, when, if I take the cab driver example, you are not going to a factory, but you are in a cab station, where all cabs are there, and the cab drivers are talking to each other. The technology, they're talking to each other. But for women, because women have not, it's an unconventional role. Yeah. There are not many cab drivers who just drive, or who are part of that group. So then what happens? That is where the isolation again. And apart from everything else which has to do with policy, the point that he mentioned during our discussion was, do they come together just to try on another person's shoulder?
Correct.
You are also a driver. I'm also a
very
that
true.
Is not.
Very true.
Platforms do that.
Yeah.
Especially for.
We will start in next 5 minutes. Sure. We are waiting for 2-3 people more, then we will start.
I think I'll go to 5th floor. Have any? 5th floor. I'll get
So yeah, once they're here, we will start.
If you're
How can I? Kasi po this program.
Welcome back. I hope you all had a nice break and good conversations. This is a workshop on creating sustainable livelihood solutions by Institute of Livelihood Research and Training. ILRT is a practice-based academic institution promoted by Basics Social Enterprise Group, a livelihood promotion conglomerate for knowledge management on livelihood and related issues. And today, I would also like to introduce our speakers. Mr. Alok Pradhan, Country Business Head, Basics Farmers Market, Bharatiya Samriddhi Investment and Consulting Service, K Impact Solutions Limited. And today's session will be moderated by Professor Somnath Ghosh, ex-Dean, and Professor I.M. Kashipur. Over to you, sir. Please. Here, I'll also give you.
Thank you for making the introductions. That saves some time. We will not go by the direction of the speaker speaking for 5 minutes and 7 minutes. We'll try to make it more organic, more interactive. So what we will do is that we'll have a conversation with each person, and each person at a time, so that they don't cut into each other. And then we take for about say 5 minutes each in the conversation, some questions, and then okay. But you have eaten into 5 minutes of our time.
Just 2 minutes.
So we can eat it today.
You have approximately 3 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, can we start?
Yeah, sure.
Fine. So, thank you so much for agreeing to come for this panel discussion, and that we have had earlier some discussion, so it will be more focused. My idea was that it is slightly different from the other, themes that in this place that's being organized. Our focus is more on livelihoods and how digital technology can be used to improving livelihoods. And as you'd be knowing, that when you talk of livelihoods, it's basically unless until scale is there, you won't be able to improve on the livelihood. So there are a lot of interventions that the government has initiated, where technology has been used, whether in terms of accessing land records or whether in bank transfers, but that they're welcome, but in a certain sense they don't help in improving the livelihoods on a massive scale. So all three of you have been involved in in activities and in interventions which the interventions that you will have or the programs that you have are unlikely to yield substantial amount of the questions of effectiveness and efficiency will be impacted. So when you do talk about your own experiences, I would also like you to focus on the way you organize yourself, the business model that you have, the practices that you have, maybe some of the internal systems that you have to do it, and then how you go about using the technology in reaching large number of people, because the questions of scale. And then after that we'll talk about the challenges later on. So we can start with you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sulman, sir. I come from Samanati Agro, as introduced. Thank you very much for the introduction. Scale, but how do we conquer that scale, right? They say that the value is in the bottom of the pyramid, and believe me, it is very true for this sector. Very, very much true, because than other sectors actually. And technology
will be very welcome, because nothing speaks louder than examples.
Right.
So the audience over here, and also those who will be watching this online later on, whether now or later on, they would be in a position to relate.
Sure.
So appreciate the examples that you give.
Sure, sir. So the tech landscape, as any organization, has some front-end facing applications, the back-end engine applications, and we have a very sound data team which gives us intelligence in terms of the plan of attack in complete specific segments, which gives us intelligence on launching new products into the market as well. Basically, Samanati, as you know, is into NBFC, helping the smallholder farmer at its center of operations actually, which means that whatever product, whatever business process, whatever tech that we come up. So, we are recently coming out with a marketplaces that I was just talking to Alok, where we have already close to about 6,000 FPOs and their farmers, to the tune of about 7 lakh farmers onto the platform. Each of them has a mobile phone, app that they can download and then operate. From a livelihood promotion standpoint, there is a concept of forming small communities, right? Be you call as a farmer interest group or a SHG, etc., where within an FPO, a small set of farmers can be grouped into a community. And how we have social interaction, we encourage the social interaction between the farmers and the FPOs and vice versa, right? And that's one I can take. And recently we have launched we've been trying a lot of BREs for straight-through processing of and in a view to give our end customers who are FPOs and farmers a access to credit kind of a thing digitally. So it's a complete self-service kind of a thing where people come online and then apply, and then the entire BRE takes over. We have come up with our own BREs, etc., based on some of these past experience. And the straight-through processing happens if the criteria is
a little bit. so that it will be good. I mean, I would also be educated, and I'm sure the others would also be. Ramanati is not a 1-year-old organization.
Absolutely, sir.
So you have got huge amount of experience that over the passage of time, what were some of the difficulties that you encountered, the challenges that you encountered that made you make certain changes?
Absolutely.
So if you can, then what happens is that other organizations which are similarly placed, they would be in a position to learn from your experience.
Sure. So again, case in the point, the first thing, I mean, we have seen this sector digitally savvy a little bit lower than the other sectors. But it is rapidly picking up, sir, from a smart phone technology availability perspective in the rural India. And one of our partners says that about 25 to 30% year-on-year smartphones sale in the rural India is picking up. So probably in next couple of years they will be tech savvy, but there is a great divide between the people, the old age farmers versus the new age farmers. The new age farmers are tech savvy, or they can jump into the smartphone technologies, etc. from a usage standpoint. So that was a big challenge for us. So one of the interventions that what we have done is we have used a concept which is called digital assistant, where some of the foot on the street or some of the tech savvy persons within the FPO, be it an accountant or the CEO, etc., can do the transactions on the platform on behalf of a farmer. So that's one of the case in the point that we have done on the field learning and then introduce this kind of a forum.
But just a follow-up question on this. Maybe people who are in the 45, 50, I would suppose that would be something like what you might call the dividing line between the younger lot who are pretty tech savvy and the older lot who will be still with their old type phones.
Yeah.
How do you break that barrier of reaching them that, look, you have got a tech assistant to take care of that?
Yeah.
Because that is a sort of that, emotional and the last mile connect.
Yeah. So it's a very tricky question that you have asked, sir, but we've been seeing, success as well as failure out there. People, who are used to the Nokia phones of the world, they don't want to come out onto the smartphones. But at the same time, if we give them value for the tasks that they do, people are willing to switch and people are willing to learn. At the same time, the applications, the UI also has to help them to quickly learn. It should be at a very novice level is what I could
So
say.
let me repeat this for the sake of, you said if they see value,
absolutely,
then they will take the trouble of transiting to the newer level of technology.
Absolutely.
Which is actually, people say, there's a resistance to change and all that. There's tremendous amount even in the field of management, and many management professors, they also keep on parroting that.
Right.
That's completely wrong. People are resistant to the, uncertainties which are associated with change.
Absolutely.
But if I know, for example, if somebody gives me a Mercedes car, that will be a big change for me. I'll happily grab it.
Right.
But if I know, okay, my God, I have got to maintain it and maybe it will be taken away from me and then after that I'll go back to my old, 10-year-old car, then I will resist that idea.
Right.
So people resist, the consequences of uncertainty rather than change. So if you can show that, I'm repeating it for the sake of the larger audience because many people have a feeling that old people, they cannot learn, that they are resistant to change.
That's not true. That's not true, sir.
If you can demonstrate it, if you can show them the benefits, they would be equally.
Right.
Only difference is that I will not be able to type as fast as a 25-year-old or 30-year-old person. That will be the only difference. I would suppose so.
Absolutely.
Please go ahead. Sorry for the information.
So it is just the value as well as the incremental value. So if we show that, whatever you've been doing, you will earn X amount of money. But if you use this, probably X plus 0.5, they are willing to take. Right? So that is one example I can give, sir, actually. The rest of the product that has evolved, right? It's a B2B2C kind of a thing where the end C are not digital savvy. They can actually go to a business correspondent. That's what we call. And through the business correspondent, we actually deliver the loans to farmers as well. So the middle being tech savvy, the digital savvy, and then willing to help the farmers. That model also has worked very solid actually.
You have had, the experience of leading in the traditional way of microcredit, and now you have moved into this technology part. So I would like you to, point out the essential elements of the difference between this world, old world and this new world, and what it takes to make that transition. What are the good things over there, and what are some of the, maybe misconceptions that people have of moving over there. And in the process, you have realized that, well, they were misconceptions. They were actually not some of the roadblocks or challenges. So that was the first part.
Yeah, thanks, Prof. My name is Shashidhar. I run a company called SubK, which is a part of Basics Group, and we are in the financial inclusion space. So just picture this, right? 10, 12 years, 20, 25 years back when Basics started microfinance, commercial microfinance, were the beginners of the story. There was a time when we were lending we continue to lend only to women borrowers. That is the kind of premise of microfinance broadly. And picture a situation in late 90s, early 2000s, when a rural woman, typically used to either operate out of a backyard enterprise or a house front shop. They used to be around the home, and men used to work a little bit outside of the home, and the money that they used to borrow used to be mostly utilized by men because they had more economic active life. And in that environment, the program is structured in such a way that we lend to women who are considered more disciplined with finances. They are always available in their vicinity, so we can go meet them very easily. We can aggregate them in groups because you need efficiency. You can't give small loans in retail fashion. It will be very expensive. You can use social collateral because they all come together, so it's kind of reputation risk they run through if they don't pay each other. There's social pressure that they go through. So we used all these things to design a beautiful program called microfinance, right? Which works very, very well. It works like a clockwork. Almost everybody pays back, but everybody gets the same loan. Everybody gets the same EMI to be paid on the same day, at the same place, at the same time. Okay, it's a very regimented, very structured program, but it works very well. It worked very well so far. Now, fast forward 2023, 2020 and beyond. Now, these women entrepreneurs who are supposed to be empowering them and the livelihoods are supposed to be promoted, they naturally would be more economically active. Or the next generation that is coming into the space are generally more digitally savvy too. So now you expecting these women to behave the same way that they behaved in early 20s, early 2000s or late 90s is a bit of missing the point, right? Now you want them to be active, you want them to earn more, they would obviously leave the home and they will be competing with men in the workforce. And participation of women in workforce is growing rural even more. It may not get accounted so much, but it is a fact that informal economy, women actively participate as much as men. Okay, if not equally, but proportionately well. In this world, how do we then now interact these women customers so that the same premise on which we built the whole microfinance program doesn't get disrupted, but the approach can be changed. So what we did, we said, maybe technology, there's a solution in technology. If we go and try to conduct a group meeting at 11 o'clock in the morning, you're not doing much of a service to them. You're doing disservice to them because you're expecting them to be available for you during an economically active time. They must be working in field, they may be running a shop on the main street, or they may be working in somebody's house or a factory, and you expect them to come and sit in front of you because they owe you 500 rupees every week.
So cost of travel?
Cost of transaction for the customer is a lot more today than it was that day. Because those days they were in the neighborhood. Now they are no more in the neighborhood. So what is happening? There are not many women are actually showing up in group meetings. Now that increases potentially risk, because if your customer doesn't show up, you have the tendency to feel that, one day they will disappear and you won't get your payments back. So if we design this whole experience in a digital platform, just imagine an app, right? Where now you don't need to insist that they have to be available at a certain point in time, but give them a tool that allows them to still continue to behave in a group because they all are working together. So you create that interface in such a way that when you open an app, you know who are your group members, how much each of us owe, when do we owe, and then if we can give them the ability to pay it off at their convenience, wherever they are, it doesn't matter, and then complete their obligation, in a much more smoother and easier manner. You are providing them an option to not only manage their financial lives much more easily, but also save on that transaction cost that they would have incurred otherwise.
If one word were to be found, you are giving them choice.
Choice, absolutely. Because see, until now, unfortunately, the way that microfinance programs are run in this country were more supply driven. Because we wanted to make sure customer behaves the way that we want, so that everything works, like I said, clockwork. But now try and see if that time, the dignity, the choice is given back to the customer. Will customer default? I think they will actually behave better. And the data shows that. And yesterday we were in the board meeting, Satya was also on the board. We were showing to our board members actually the group behavior improved in the digital environment than in the physical environment.
Which 5 years earlier, if you had said that...
Hard to believe. No, even today my peers won't believe. I mean, it's not that everybody is doing this and we are looking at a global data. We're looking at institutional data, and this data has to be talked about. But why is it that? Why is it the case that people are behaving better in the digital world and lesser, they're doing well, but not as well in a physical world? Because if you expect a person to come and sit in front of you with that 500 rupees every week or every fortnight or every month, they will skip one or the other time. There may be situations where they may not be able to show up and the group behavior is broken. But in a digital world, they don't have to show up. They have to push their money into the system. Right? So there's a lot of convenience factor. There's a lot of uncertainty taken out. The value that comes back, what Chadika was saying, is in terms of the time saved for them and the hassle saved for them, because the 8th year board meeting is there and you have to preserve that money until the 8th of the month, but your inflow might have happened on the 1st of the month. Now you have an app, you pay it on the 1st of the month. You don't need to wait for 8th of the month. Right? So this is the value. In terms of the whole stress of keeping the cash, and sometimes money is fungible, the last day you're running around to make sure that the EMI is... So there are so many things that happen within the community that we don't come to know. But if you give them the tool and we say, we don't want to interfere in your lives, you just complete your obligation, this is like a bill payment for them. Month beginning you have all your income coming at some or the other way, and interestingly, rural health doesn't mean that the money is coming in a daily wages and daily cash. It's not anymore. People are paid in certain installments. People are paid monthly, once in 15 days. The inflow of cash is more structured today. Right? And even if you're running a kirana store, your customers are not paying every day to you, you're paying once in a month because they're salary earners. So the whole cash flows have become very structured. So now you can actually design your program based on that structural cash flows. Month beginning I got all my inflows, now I want to pay these bills, my rent, my EMI, and I move on.
So in a certain sense you are saying that while the overall structure remains the same, but the business model has taken a significant shift. In our case, for example, it's not that globally it has changed, it's still going through a change, but the point I'm trying to make is that if we can identify those modes of friction, where in a non-digital world we had no other option, because of efficiency reasons, risk reasons, or whatever reasons, we have designed things in certain way, whether it is agri, whether it is finance, whether it is education. If we can actually reimagine that whole workflow and see where did we create the friction and how do we release that by replacing with a digital tool or a data, I think everybody will win from in this whole game. When I hear this, the thing that comes to my mind is, although I'm not a techie, normally you would expect people to design certain things very, very technically very well designed, the back end, everything, but keeping the customer, their own problems and the changes that they have undergone in their own lives, if you don't keep them, then the app that you develop is not going to be very, very customer friendly. Absolutely. So see, there are two aspects, right? One is the app, obviously, the interface. It can be app, it can be WhatsApp messaging, whatever it can be. It doesn't have to be app all the time. But the point of one is interface. The user interface is very, very critical. But even if you design a beautiful interface, there is another interface, which is what he called digital assistant. Or there is an assistance aspect, or there is a change maker aspect associated with this business. What do you mean by change maker? Somebody who is interacting with the customer on a day-to-day basis. Now this person is supposed to be helping the customer adapt to this. Okay, I have a slight difference with Chadika is that it's not, we can't say that these customers are not digitally savvy. They are probably not given enough opportunity to become digital. I would put it that way. So if you can actually help them
adopt the technology, my experience is that they adopt faster than we do because we have options. We can manage without technology. Right? We have other facilities that we can deal with.
Oh, this is a very interesting observation.
Yeah.
You are saying people in the rural areas who are not as well endowed as us, they adapt to technology faster than us because they have less options. And
exactly.
And they tend to benefit more.
Absolutely.
People like us.
It is proven in very traditional microfinance model whereby people pay precisely on time. And it is not the case in retail MSME loans. If you see, their risks are much higher than a microfinance loan. Why? It's not because they are better borrowers or these people are bad borrowers. It's because their choices are limited. They don't want to lose out on the choice. They want to maintain their record so that they continue to get the support that they get from MFI. So there is this behavior aspect. Similarly, it applies to digital as well. Their options in the infrastructure and facilities are so limited. If you can give them an easier experience in a digital world, they would adopt it faster than you and I would. I can pull out the cash and pay to somebody, I don't have a real challenge there. But they will have to run out to get the cash and, manage the cash, the change and all that stuff. They say, so they don't have to deal with any, maybe BC agent also to an extent. They don't want to deal with anybody. I don't want to deal with an individual. Why should they want to deal with an individual? So I think, in my opinion, it is also about this change maker. The person who is in the middle of the customer and the company has to first take this, buy this idea. And this OD part of the organizational change that we need to invest in is a much bigger investment than technology investment. Right? As all revenue promotion organizations, all of us who are working with rural communities or large customer bases, it is very important that internal buy-in happens. There is an internal change that has to start. Now, we should not blame the customer that they have not adopted it. Did we first adopt it? Everybody in the organization has taken that as their challenge or as their responsibility. Then you go to the customer and say, hey, I did my part, can you do your part? I think that is the experience that we had, that if we can really do a right...
Shashi, we'll come back to this point.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's closer to my area, so we'll come back to this point. So we'll come back to the challenges, and what you are saying, what you suggested was that there's a huge amount of non-tech work which needs to be done, which is within the organization.
Right.
Because it's the people who are the interface between the customers. If they feel, quote unquote, you didn't use the word threatened, but I would suppose that was possibly the undercurrent of it. They don't see any value.
And Basics Farmers Market. The Basics Farmers Market is basically a digital platform tool where we are trying to bring in farmer collectives, like what was discussed some time back, onto the platform and help them access services. Typically, the rural, you can say the farming community has three main areas. One is from where do they get proper inputs and at a good price. The second is where do they gain access to markets when they have harvested their crops. And the other one is capital, credit. So the platform tries to address these three important areas for the farming community. And the channel through which we do this is through farmer collectives. So I'm saying farmer collectives because there are government registered entities like farmer producer organizations or farmer producer companies, but there are informal groups as well where probably a group of 10 to 15 farmers might be wanting to associate with you, but they're not registered under the government, but they still want to do with you. So we are basically focusing on collectivizing of the farmers or the farming community on the platform and digitally trying to address the requirements. So
for the sake of the audience, you are saying aggregation is central to this whole thing.
Correct.
Okay, so that part of it. So whether it is in a formal, whether it is in a formal one, FP although taking place.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The aggregation is also important because, like I spoke about three things here. One is the input requirement. So when you are going to a particular, say, a company in the village, for example, if a farmer approaches a input shop for his seeds and fertilizers, and if he's going alone, his bargaining capacity reduces. But if you go as a collective with a larger order, right, the bargaining capacity increases. So typically when you are on a digital platform, you're able to kind of aggregate demand both on the input side as well as the output side and create a scale where you can bargain with market participants, no matter whether it's in the input side or no matter whether in the output side. The other benefit of a digital platform is, especially when we talk about the output side market, typically farmers or the farming community have access to only the mandi system. like the PNC Mandi, or probably some traders who are in the vicinity of the farming community. On a platform, it becomes much more easier for them to kind of gain access to probably institutional buyers, say something like an ITC or a Britannia, if you are talking about agri per se. For example, in Vidarbha in Maharashtra today, you have the soybean season, soybean harvesting season coming in. So there will be larger plants like a Ruchi, like Patanjali is taking over Ruchi now. So there will be a Patanjali plant which will be requiring a lot of produce, and they can get good quality produce and better quantity produce probably from farmer collectives. And the farmer collectives can bargain based on the kind of scale they can have, the collectivization they can make.
What we will do is that we'll go to the second round now, which basically, maybe some of the challenges. So I'll start with you only. Do you see any differences in the states? For example, the experience in Maharashtra and the experience in Uttar Pradesh, or you are not operating right now in Bihar, right? No. Do you see any fundamental differences between states? Because regional, pressures or regional compulsions will often put a lot of pressure on your business model. Do you see that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So right now the basics farmers market is present in 4 or 5 states, and we are in geographically diverse areas. We are in Maharashtra, we are in Uttar Pradesh, we are in Himachal Pradesh, a little bit of West Bengal, and we are just now starting in Assam and MP. So just take the example of Maharashtra and Himachal Pradesh. Now when we talk about farmer collectives, most of the farmer collectives have been established or are doing well in primarily 2 states in India, Maharashtra and UP. Now when we talk about markets like Himachal, where the concept is entirely new, like the concept of farmer collectives, and if you say for example the most important crop in Himachal is a horticulture crop, apple, right? Now how does technology help them or help these farmer collectives to access larger markets in India? So when you go and talk to people or talk to farmers, orchard farmers in Himachal Pradesh, they will tell you that, sir, for the last 20 years, 30 years since I've been growing apples, I have only sold this apple to probably a trader in Delhi, or maybe a trader in Hyderabad, or a trader in Lucknow, and that is what the market is as of now. Whether your model will help me access markets beyond this, say for example Chennai or Gujarat or something like that, and that is what the technology helps them in facilitating them to larger markets and helping them to trail the entire transaction right from the aggregation of demand to making the payments over online, etc. All of this is happening. So definitely, so for example in Maharashtra, the collectives have experience of working with technology companies, agri-tech companies. So there are companies like Day2, there are companies like FarmMart, and they have already kind of established relationship with these companies over the past 4 or 5 years. But when you compare it to Himachal, where the experience is completely new, maybe they have just done 1 season or 2 seasons with these companies, so there is always a trust deficit which is there. Like whether I get my payment immediately from associating with this active company, right from a place like Himachal. So
let me intervene over here. Very interesting. You see, you need to establish a triad relationship. The customer, the seller, and he wants the money back. So now you're saying these tech companies are there, okay, and many of them they have had a relation. So a place like Himachal, how do you establish this relationship?
Yeah, so again, until you restrict trade model. So there is always an executive of the company allocated to the FPOs or the farmer collectives who goes and kind of meets the farmers on a regular basis, explaining them about the digital platform, explaining to them about why you should come on a digital play, etc. So this, the executive is a very important, you can say, connection with the farmers and the company. And that's the reason why the executives have to be trained regularly, like about how to speak to the farmers, whether he should be making promises that the company can kind of keep, etc. So conditioning the executive on a regular basis is very, very important in these kind of models.
Okay. Shashi, now I come to you about the, for example, you did mention when I intervened, you were talking about the challenges, that the organization faces. I'd like you to build more on that.
So I would not really say challenge. It is we have to take certain things into account. Like what I was beginning to talk about before you decide whether the customer is ready or not. we should first decide whether we are ready or not as an organization, right? There may be a top push, right, top-down push. Someone like me will always keep saying that, oh, we should do digital, there is no future without it. But if that is only a narrative, or is it something that you can do to educate your internal stakeholders to see value for themselves? So like you said, customers should see value, even everyone in the organization should see value. Otherwise, it is sort of, difficult to percolate down. So one way to look at it is just you just mentioned that people who are on the ground who used to deliver things physically, if you tell them go educate your customers to do it digitally on their own, why would that person do it? It is a matter of their livelihood. Forget about customer livelihood. So there is this aspect of tension that gets created when change happens, and it is important for us to first internalize about whether this change is going to add value not only at the company level, at the customer level, but at the whole stakeholder level. So if this guy who is going to change the behavior of the customer, if you can create a unit economics at his level and then create the right incentives for that person, that if you are able to digitize half of your customers, you will be able to serve double the customers. Because you still will have the same time with you. But now half of your customers have moved on, which will remain your customers because you have to provide them service when needed. But there will be other set of customers who will continue to do the same level of service because there is an adoption matrix. And then you can add as many customers who move into digital. So you will always be able to serve more than less customers.
So right? in a sense, if you, in dollar terms, he earns more amount than he did earlier.
They would. And what we did initially is to demonstrate that intent. We actually went out and said, if you convert a customer and the customer starts paying digitally to us, you will earn twice the incentive than you would have earned by physically making the effort. That means if you don't make an effort, once you make an effort, convert your customer for 2 months, then remaining 22 months you get paid, even without visiting the customer, you get double the incentive. You're not spending your fuel, you're not spending your time, you're not spending your energy, but you're getting double the incentive. Where you're spending all those three, you get X. But you don't spend any of those in future, you get 2X. The reason being, we know that the 2X will generate 4X return because then he will use that time to generate more business or meet more customers, acquire more business, right? So it's an investment that you need to make in terms of those initial promotion below, incentive below, whatever that is. Like we do, promotion for customers also. In our case, we don't do that. But we have taken these people as a real change agents and invested in them, both on their training, on their awareness generation, and on their income generation.
Okay.
So that then they sort of started adopting it. They said, this is helping me. I can make more money by actually doing less. Right? And everybody gains out of it.
So the training that he was talking about is at one level, but what you are talking about is far more substantive in bringing about the attitudinal change, and it's all built in what you might call the compensation system also within the organization. So that's 1 degree more than that. In your case, what I suspect is the person, the field executive, he should know something about the business, about apples. He must know about the technology part. He must know about the company which is going to take it, and he must be assuring them the money would be coming back. But you are giving a totally different dimension altogether. Okay, we'll be running short of time. So I just one question before I move to him. Unless and until we can, of course, we are talking about an area which is fast changing. Technology changes extraordinarily fast. But how do you envisage the future? Let's say, how do you see the next 5 years? I can't go more than that.
No, I mean, envisaging the future is at a different level, right? Like my level and my CXO level, we dream up a 5-year, hence what the company looks like. But we don't need to load that on the top of the rest of the organization, right? So the change comes slowly, right? Once the adoption happens, people, I'll give you a very simple example, right? At a customer level, let's not worry about whether blockchain will change the world or not. What is happening at the customer level? Today, when I'm saying the customer is paying digitally, it doesn't mean that customer themselves are paying. Okay, there is an ecosystem around the customer. So customer's daughter may be paying, customer's husband may be paying, her brother living in a town who is actually able to manage a smartphone is paying. So the change happens from not necessarily that individual, but the individual manages to get the thing done before that person adopts it. So 5 years down the line, this person may themselves do it. But today it's not that that person is only doing it. We allow that person to actually use the support system that is around them. Similarly, at an organization level, we may have a dream to build a fully tech company, but I want to make sure that small changes are adopted in a way that everybody internalizes and start participating in the dream over a period of time. So hence I don't worry that, okay, 5 years down the line I want to use blockchain, should we start introducing blockchain today? It doesn't work, right? We may have to build an architecture, we may have to build a sort of a schema in our mind that this is where we will go if we have to adopt the technology, but in the institutional level you have to make small changes, baby steps.
Is there a distinction between the macro aspect of the change and what you are talking about at the micro level, what is happening?
Absolutely.
This thing that you were talking less than, I think 6-7 months ago, I was doing some field work in Meerut area, and we went to a small house, and it was very interesting. The lady, when we asked her, she could say about the business. I said, but how do you operate? He said, maini karti. Right. Her daughter came, the son was there, and we were surprised that the boy was no more than 11 or 12, and the girl was possibly in the 10th class, and the fluidity with which she did it, and the way she explained it, I said, wonderful. Right. Absolutely. And my next question is, what do you want to be? And the girl says, I want to pursue computer science. Now imagine in a village area where this girl, had she not been managing this app of yours, would not have possibly even thought in those terms. Okay. Come to you.
It's a couple of points I actually wanted to corroborate both of the discussions, right? So first coming to Alok's point about training our foot on the street, right? So it's all about not only what the digital solution can cater to the customer needs, but it's about the value what the customer will get out of using this app. That has to be clearly articulated. That's number one point. And what we've seen in this ag sector, sir, actually, is that, our customer sells to other customers. Meaning, in an area, if we are able to take, if one pharma collective with, start with a, trust, start with a little bit of social capital, etc., and then once you make them successful, the success speaks for itself, and then the news spreads because they
become the ambassadors.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that news spreading around to the other pharma collectives in that area is much more faster than any advertisement that we do. So that's
WhatsApp message for that matter.
Absolutely, absolutely. The third point I wanted to actually, Ceci was telling about how do we conserve our logistics, travel, etc. Right? So, case in the point, we looked at one concept of gig tasks. Right? There are numerous interventions from a lending standpoint that the organizations have to submit back the documents, etc. So every time the foot on the street has to travel, I mean, it has energy, it has fuel, it has time, which otherwise can be used, to acquire new customers or gain new customers, give them new knowledge, etc. Right? So we actually conceived an idea of big tasks where really in app, whatever task that we can send to that particular VLE's app, and he can collect that particular task and give it back to the head office. Just a click of a button. For doing that, there is a one-time payment for that particular person. So it's a win-win for both, meaning that you are actually giving a chance to the VLEs in the village to earn some money for doing a particular task. At the same time, he will be again a champion for the other farmers and to the more VLEs.
So I think we have come to the end of the time, allocated time. So thank you so much. But if I were to sort of wrap it up and, the takeaways, then what we do find is, in all the three, the one common approach that I find is that you have reached large collectives. In your case, it was, it is an in-between, because the individual is still primary, but you would still be working with that. And the fact that the technology has come in and the SHGs or the GLGs in group is not functioning does not mean that the group does not exist. You would still be having. So the first takeaway is that technology is able to reach to a larger number, which otherwise would have been. Absolutely. The first one. The second one which I find is that whatever happens at the back end, you need to think about the customer and tailor your, the apps or whatever changes. The third thing you're going to find is that it is as much important to bring about, acceptance, not so much in the external world, but within your own employees, within your own people, because if they don't buy into the idea, if they have not adopted to this, behavioral changes that are required, then it is unlikely that your model is going to be successful. Okay. And the last point which I had to, take is that contrary to what we would think, that the older generation people, they are hesitant. It seems no. If they are getting the choice, if you are able to show them the benefits of it, if you are giving them the avenues, they adopt to it much faster. And such is one point which was amazing, which did not occur to me. But the moment you said it, I said, that had to be so. Which is, their behavior is much better than ours because they don't have choices. So this technology provides them with the ultimate choice of freedom. उससे पहले तो they were virtually, they were stymied by the rigidity and the regimentation. So technology has given them the choice, and they embrace the choice much more than people like us. Okay. So thank you, all three of you, for this wonderful time that we had. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, thank you so much, all of you. The next session, which we were supposed to have at 12:50, is not going to happen, but you can visit other rooms. The sessions are going on, and the next session here will be at 3 p.m. Okay, thank you.
Next session got cancelled. Yeah, that is not happening right now. I just got it. Nothing is there now. No, not now. But you
అయితే మళ్ళీ వేరేగా రాశారు. ఇది కొంచెం ట్రెండీగా ఉంది, ట్రెండీగా కొంచెం మార్చారు. నాకు బొత్సది లేదు నిన్న కేటీఆర్ దగ్గర పెద్ద పాటలు పాడారు కాబట్టి సోషల్ మీడియాలో కొట్టాము. అదొకటి పెట్టి ఎంబెడ్ చేయండి. నెక్స్ట్ అదే చిరాకు, నెక్స్ట్ దిగుబడి మల్లారెడ్డి అన్నీ మనం ఒకసారి పబ్లిష్ ఆనంద్ కథ రమేష్ పంపించారు. అక్కడ ఆఫీస్లో నేను డ్రాఫ్ట్లో పెట్టాను. ఏదో ప్రాబ్లం వచ్చిందని చూడాలి. లేదు రమేష్ రాశాడు. సరే సరే చూడు అన్నాడు. కుక్క ఓటర్ అవ్వలేదు. ఒకసారి
So you are speaking on internet in Nepal, is it? Yes. And down from
mandate, election ki mandate. కానీ పిచ్ అవ్వట్లేదు కదా, పిచ్ అవ్వట్లేదు కదా. నేను కూడా పెడుతున్నాను, నేను కూడా కాపీ చేసి పెడుతున్నాను.
So what they are saying, they have to take the laptop and check with that. It's not possible.
అంటే మెయిన్ పేజ్ రావట్లేదు కదా
What they need to do.
మన We can, like, would it be helpful if someone is, like, if the laptop goes back and like we are changing
See, what is the problem? Aux cable
video
okay, మన ఏం చేద్దామంటే సరే మైక్ పెడదాం నాకు ఒక పర్సన్ విల్ బి టాకింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ టీమ్ మీటింగ్ ఉంటుంది, టీమ్ మీటింగ్ నడుస్తున్నది, లైక్ స్టార్ట్ కాగానే టీమ్ మీటింగ్ అవుతుంది, కొన్ని స్లైడ్స్ హీ హెస్ టు ప్రెజెంట్. సో అప్పుడు ఒకసారి మైక్ తోటి ఎట్లా వస్తుందో చూద్దాం. లేటెస్ట్ ట్రై టు డూ ట్రై ఆక్స్ కేబుల్ లేకుండా ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంటల్లీ ఆడియో ఇవ్వచ్చా? కొంచెం ట్రై అదే ఇచ్చేసిన కనెక్ట్ చేసిన ట్రై రన్ చేసి ఉంటాం.
Hello.
First session, second session. 320. సరే HDMI తోటి ఏం చేద్దాం? ఒక్క నిమిషం. సో ఈ వీడియో రన్ చేసి ఏ సోర్స్ తీసుకోవాలి? HDMI. ఆడియో అవుట్పుట్ ఏది తీసుకోవాలి? స్మార్ట్ మానిటరా?
So what I'm thinking is we'll start with the lightning talk. Yeah, we'll start with the lightning talk and then people will
Hello.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. So now we have Bikram Shrestha joining us from Nepal. They are founder and director of Internet Nepal Foundation. And this session will highlight the internet and digital ecosystem of Nepal.
There is a presentation also.
Shuru? Have you mailed it before?
Yes, there is on folder.
This is so maybe we can connect it.
Namaste. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity for in Digital Citizen Summit, and it's my honor to be a part of this event. My name is Vikram Shrestha. I am from Nepal, and I am president and founder of Nepal Foundation, and I do have a different hats in international as well. Vice Chair for NPOC ICANN, Co-Chair for Corpus Sikh Ethnic, and Vice Chair for Nepal Internet Governance as well. So I have almost 2 decade experience in the internet. I have been contributing in Nepal from my civil society hats, but professionally I am working in bank. One of the top 10 and top 5 commercial bank in Nepal is Sanina Bank as a head digital banking department. Today I am going to present about internet in Nepal and how can we address access and infrastructure issue with the internet connectivity in Nepal. So Nepal is a small country lying between 2 rivers. Southern part is China and northern part is India. So current Nepal ruled by the king Pranita-Digital. He is the first Sanabansi king. Now we don't have a king. So understanding Nepal as 30.7 million population in Nepal. Out of 30.7 million population, we have 15.85 million population. Is almost half of the population that has the internet access now. And this is data, but the problem internet has also published the data, but I had gathered this data from an NCTAD stats and data global report database 2023. And you can see here the male population is 14.71 and female is 16.01 millions. And 3% 97. So I think you must heard about the political situation in Nepal. I used to say, I go to President abroad or international forum, still our government is it's not stable, and how can we say it's military sarkar. We have a military sarkar in Nepal. So in terms of social media, the Facebook is penetrated by 11.85 million, that is 38.57% the penetration. So nowadays the content is more about the video, and the TikTok is very famous. And almost 30 to 40% of internet is consumed by the social media in Nepal. And so social media is so penetrated, and even we have been discussing fake news and other misinformation kind of activities going on. So we can say that sometimes it's real news or fake news. Even my parents they are baby boomer, almost 16 years old, and when I am working in a bank, and one incident that the fake news has been rapidly growing in the social media, and my parents, my mother, she called me, and I also involved in that activities, that fraud activities like that is going on. So I told my mother that that's almost that's fake news, so you don't have to believe in that news. So and he told me that how can say that fake news? Almost everyone is news that. So the baby boomers, moreover, they understand and they use the social media, and from social media there is lots of fake news, misnews, and disinformation is spread out. And you can see that 41% of penetration by the social media. Next slide. So I'll just go back to the history of connectivity milestones. So in 1993, Nepal established first telephone access in Kathmandu. In 1994, Open Wireless News as Akasanamani as from Kathmandu to Luxor with India. And in 1964, high frequency radio to India and Pakistan to start international telecom services. In 1982, satellite earthing stations for direct international phone calls. In 1994, the commercial email was started by Mukandal, and the Mukandal office system, the first email service would have started in 1994. And in 1995, you can see that the launch of internet by private operators using dial-up. And in next slide. In 1996, the private operator started VSAT, and in 1997, the first optical fiber from Nepal to India via Roxol, it's bordered by Nepal, and started by Nepal Telecom with .India, but there is no internet. In 2000, Nepal Telecom is finally started this internet from dial-up modem, and in 1999 I started my first career. I started my first ISP in my native place. It's nearby the buildings in Day2. I started internet business during that time. I started by VSAT and there's dial-up modem, and during that time 32 kbps bandwidth. I started my startup business. I ran that business till 2005, but unfortunately I couldn't make it. The business was totally loss, and my parents, they told me to close that business, and then I tried to go abroad, but I went to Kathmandu, and then I searched for the good job, and then I started that banking was it suited kind of job profession that I started that, and then my passion is not ended, so I contribute by voluntarily, and from that onwards I tried via Bhaira is from Nepal side, and Sunoli is from India side by Nepal Telecom. And in 2008, the first Indo-Nepal cross-border connectivity by private ISP in Bhaira. So why Bhaira? Because Bhaira is nearby Sunoli, and it's really still connectivity. So that's how almost all the connections from Bhaira. So in 2011, the first Nepal optical fiber link with China also, and that's also started by Patapani, Khasa border to China. And during that time, in 2011, we have Google also has come in Nepal, and then the internet is more popularity gaining, and then it's going on. In 2012, across by private sector also started this private ISPs. So there is almost active ISPs is 24, but the threshold ISP is 112 is in Nepal. Next slide. So in 2013, you can see the map. There is a fiber connectivity, and the connections network within the Kathmandu Valley, and Violet is the first ISP to launch this FTTH fiber to the home service. That's commercially started in 2013. And in 2013 afterwards, that the NTC, Nepal Telecommunication is started in January 2007. The 4G was launched services, and similarly in 2017 there was NCL, the private company. They also introduced the broadband 4G network in Nepal. So this was the history of Nepal. Next slide. So the cross-border connectivity points is almost primary connectivity is from Bhairava and Bilgans, and you can see other connection from the India side. That's for the redundancy backup, and we don't need to create a separate tunnel same route. So that's how there is Bhagavad and Dubhavi, and the Tankipur was the secondary link we have, and obviously Airtel and Tata is very initial phase. Tata and Airtel is providing cross-border trains, and so internet connectivity to the outside Nepal is most of the traffic is from almost all the traffic is from the India, and we have connectivity from the Rasuagadi is on China, and Tatapani is on China side. That is China Telecom, and China Unicom also there is, but still is under construction. So these are the primary connections for Nepal to international connectivity. So we have very strong connectivity from fiber, Bhairava and Birgunj itself, and there is other NSP also for the internet connection. So next. Going further, so we are planning to have because we are more dependency with fiber. So fiber is connected via India, and that we are trying to have direct to submarine cable, but it's still under process. And these are the road spot where Nepal has connection through the India. Next. IP transit point. As I said, the primary IP transit point is most of the content we have from the Singapore, and content is from India also, but is 6.8% and almost 12% from the 32% from the Singapore, and these are the connections. IP connect points from Nepal, and we have only one IX, Nepal Internet Access Point, and we can see the network how we are having from Nepal to abroad. Next. So presently IP capacity is rapidly growing. So demand side is being increased day by day, but the supply side is difficult to get because of different challenges. So approx 50 GB of peak IP traffic, 80 to 90 GB on connected capacity. Global case is there, and we have other cache server, 8 to 10 GB of local CDN also there, and hardly 1 GB internet traffic over MPLX. So only one MPLX. That's how we know MPLX has is a demand side. So it's going to create more infrastructure needed to the MPLX as well. Next. So challenges. So I think there's lots of challenges, and as we see, the challenges is one of those geopolitical challenges for dependency on neighboring and coastal countries for this connectivity, and there is other challenges, geographical challenges we have been facing, because most of our territory is Himalayan and the hills out there. So as we say that 50% is internet penetration, but still it's lots of areas, the Himalayan areas and the rural areas need to be connected. So we have been working in high cost infrastructure development in LLDC, landlocked developing countries. And transit route are long, difficult and expensive. Low internet investment in LLDCs and high cost to ISP because of limited operators. So there is other challenges in civilians. Content developing network is still we have lack of internet access and we want internet access in Nepal. So that's how it's. We don't have other international civilians also coming to Nepal. Like Akana is a long time we have Akana, and Google content also there, and other content provider also is planning to come to Nepal, but we have to justify for the business opportunities. So that's how. Expensive IP transit as well as CDN is provided for the hosting on ISP premises and data center, and a lack of business opportunity in supply chain. There is a bottleneck in CDNs, so we are planning for community CDN also. If there is an opportunity for a community, then the community is driven by the community itself. So we have been trying for community CDN in Nepal as well. So these are the challenges we have been facing, and there's other lots of challenges. So there is also, next slide. So there is also, as we said, there is a challenges, but landlocked, but not landlocked. We have lots of opportunity to do our business, and as I said, that there is business opportunity for the civilians, content creating in data center. And create more local content and local e-commerce services. Still, there are lots of e-commerce sites are growing rapidly in Nepal. Daraz is one of them, and there is Sustainable, there is other international organizations coming for the business opportunity to grab that business. So this is more focusing business in Nepal. And I think there is a huge opportunity to provide e-governance services in Nepal, but still the government is working is under constructions, and as I have been following here for the this Aadhaar card something this morning as well. So in Nepal also there is national ID similar to Aadhaar card, but it's very difficult. I mean, it's not difficult, but the government has a less priority. That's how it's going the implementation phase. And I think Aadhaar card started 2007 or 6, but in Nepal also in 2008 the national ID has started, but still the half of the, I mean not a half of, 35% only the registration has been done. So that's how the slow process is going on. So there is other opportunity exploring the possibility of rights of way through to the third country for the IX, internet access point, for the content, local content to create. So that's how we are focusing for the community IX, internet access point, and attracting more upstream providers to connect at the border, providing more choice and introduce more competitive to lower the rates. So building is not expensive in Nepal. It's compared to other country as per this. I have one site I verified, but that sites, the stats has the data. I forgot that site, but that site provide in South Asia. Nepal is one of the cheapest internet service, but as per the earning of income, GDP is lower, so that's how the affordable is more difficult for the people to buy the internet. Next slide. Addressing internet by bridging digital divide. So definitely there is lots of opportunity expanding network infrastructure. When expanding internet in Nepal, as I said that there is different territory. One is Tarai and Maticulously, and there is hill and there is mountains. So going to the mountains is very difficult because of accessibility and there is no road access. So first priority we have if we want to establish the internet connection. So first priority is fiber, and second priority is wireless, and third priority will be the VSAT. So that's how we have been planning, and there is other government initiatives. RTDF, that's Rural Telecommunication Development Fund. Government has collected 2% from the every revenue generated by ISPs and telecom, and that's fund will be collected, and the government initiated to connect this rural telecommunications in the rural areas. So second, I think the common network is more success story we have, and last mile connectivity. Nepal Indian Foundation also has lots of established lots of community network, and just last month we have connected second phase of Everest community network. It's almost it's over 4,000 meter heights. It's on the base of Mount Everest. Everest community network, named as Everest community network. So we have connected via the second phase as fiber to home, fiber to laws, and fiber to government office. So that's how we have been connected to the community network. So that's the highest in the world is community network in all over the world. So it's 4,000 meter heights. So it's the Kunde and Kunjung itself. The Kunde and Kunjung, the shadow valleys, the Sepa valleys that most of the citizens are from Serpa's community, and the Serpa community they don't have an internet access during, and there is a Hilari school. And when we visited the school, and there is in course there was internet in the subject, but there is they couldn't have the internet access. So that's how we are able to connect that Hilari school also, the Hilari Kunjung school. So we established there, and there is one Kundak community hospital, and now we are going to connect telemedicines kind of services in the Kunde hospital as well. So the community the community network and community-driven project is more of a success in Nepal. We have an affordable access. Definitely there should be affordable, but to make affordable, the government also has to work on the internet, and other ISPs also have to work, because in Nepal the ISPs are trying to pull the cable, trunk cable by individual themselves. If there is a sharing model, then it will be definitely the cost will be the lower. So that's how I think we have to look after. And the fifth, I think the digital literacy program, definitely the literacy, rural connectivity and rural, not only the providing internet to the rural, so literacy should be also shared, so that there should be a literacy program. And in government services also, there is lots of e-government services, but still that's not reliable. That's how the citizen has to be the presence physically to get the service from the government. So off-grid power solutions, I think to connect the internet, there should be a power, and in rural area, there is off-grid options. We have having the solar system, and then the wind power for the rural connectivity. This also is a good example we have been doing in the rural and the Himalayas mountain areas. International aid and partners, of course, community was established by the international aid from the Indian Society, ECNIC itself, and other organizations. So there is ongoing support from the international aid as well. And regulatory reform, regulatory has been working a good job in Nepal, but it's still there should be a more facilitated environment to be maintained by the Nepal government and NTA. And last but not the least, public awareness. Still, the public awareness has been as have been contributing from the civil society, and we have different events within a month. I have been, Nepal Internet Foundation itself is doing digital talk. Digital talk is in podcasts. In digital talk, we have under the Digital Nepal Framework. Digital Nepal Framework 2019 that the Nepal government has established and launched, and from there onwards, Nepal Foundation has been running this digital talk under the Digital Nepal Framework. So public awareness is one of the agenda that Nepal Foundation and civil society has been doing. Thank you for listening, and that's it. Thank you very much.
So we will be starting our next session in next 5-7 minutes. Hello once again, everyone. Okay, I think everything is all set. Great. So now we have Mr. Ramkaran Rudravaram from ISOC Hyderabad, who will show us what open source software can be accessed for public goods.
Yeah. Hello. So, good afternoon, everyone. We want to make this as interactive as we can. All right. Slides are just for getting ourselves along the way to cover all the topics. That's all. All right. So, what are public goods? Anybody? What are public goods? Easy thing, right? Every day we use roads, you know, and if I use the road, does the access to road to anybody get reduced?
No, right? Everybody uses the road. And it is not exclusionary, right? It doesn't exclude anybody from using that road. At the same time, if I use the road, will you be jealous of me?
No.
Will there be rivalry in between us?
No.
No, right? So the basic definition of public goods is just that. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about what public goods are, and then what are the worldwide initiatives around digital public goods and India initiatives also. Alright? So my goal is to help people create public goods. That's my goal. So it's not to express what public goods are and what services are available. That I think most of the other places you can find easily. I am trying to show you some tools which are truly open source that you can go and install on your computer and start using them. Alright? So this is the basic definition of public good. Non-excludable, and non-rivalrous. This is the basic definition of a public good. Now, let's go to this definition of what is a digital public good. So, next slide. So, there is a foundation that, or an alliance that actually creates a registry of all these digital public goods. And this one is pretty popular. The electronic form of public goods is digital public goods. So, these are services that are delivered using open source software mostly, right? There are some countries that use proprietary software, but most of the public goods are delivered. Good example, your Aadhaar is a public good, right? Everybody uses it, and today in this conference, everybody kind of is very, very mad at Aadhaar, but it's one of those things that is done some good anyway. So like that, there is another platform called Diksha. So the software behind Diksha is called Sunbird, and the actual service you get, the e-learning service, is a public good. So what we are trying to see is what are the tools that you can use to create public goods. So we will talk to one of the person who has developed a open source tool framework that is used in 7 or 9 other countries. I don't know how many, but definitely more than 5 countries to create Aadhaar type frameworks. In this talk, we have Ramesh Narayan with us. In a short while, we will actually let him talk about a project called MOSIP. Alright? So, some of the basic ideas around these open source projects and creating these public goods. Today we talk about data. Whose property is data? Is data property? All of these are very, very important legal questions. I don't have answers to them. I'm a techie. See, I'm a system administrator for the last 32 years. I don't know much about this legal jargon. But one thing I can tell you is everybody is aware of ChatGPT. Yes? So ChatGPT is trained on somebody's data. Yeah? So first thing is, should data be closed or open? That's a conversation. Public data, should it be closed or open? Where does the divide between privacy and common good, where does it stop? Right? So today there are people who argue that every piece of data that looks at community trends should be curated, should be sanitized before using for analysis. Now there is another school of thought where if you don't have accurate data, if you are artificially sanitizing the data, then you will not get correct results. Garbage in is garbage out. So who's right? I don't know. But one thing is sure, having open data is slightly better than having black boxes, closed data, right? So that is the point. Another thing is, today some of the most important software tools, every time there is innovation, there is somebody who wants to attribute themselves to that innovation. And attribution comes from sheer effort they have put in or the money they have put in into the product. So today, even large scale systems, AI systems, there's a lot of investment going on into AI. So would it be given away for free? Not necessarily, right? There will be some sort of licensing. And when, if you look at the latest news, like 28 countries came together, there's a position paper that has been published. All of that, wherever there is new innovation, there's always this resistance to regulation. If there's regulation, the speed of innovation gets hampered. But then, do we have to live in a world without regulation? That is also really bad, right? So, this whole idea of today's problems, where AI will tell you lies, hallucinating and all of that, versus tomorrow's problem where Elon Musk talks about super intelligence, some super intelligence controlling all of our mankind. Both of them are problems. But then, free and open content to be innovated upon, right? Then, lastly, it is all about content. Today, context and content, both of them are as important as each other. So as much as you want to have access to whatever you want to see, the actual content itself needs to be more open. It should be created ideally through open source tools. So today, my goal is to see how we can look at some tools that will help in creating content fearlessly, openly, and accessible to everybody, right? So next. So what is the position of international community? All the governments together is UN, right? Everybody in the UN. So they talk about digital public goods, and this is directly lifted from UN site only. No innovation here. So here's what they talk about. They also talk about open data, open source software, open artificial intelligence, open science, open content. So I think for the first time you have civil society that believes the same things, and even the government, sovereignty, all of those guys also believe in almost the same areas, right? Everybody's scared. For sure everybody's scared. Do you agree? Are you scared?
Very much.
Huh?
Very much.
So, yeah. So let's try and see how all of this plays into how we live our lives here, right? Some of the easiest things to do. Go next step. So we take great pride, in spite of all of the weaknesses of all the systems that we have, NPCI, Aadhaar, IMPS, all of these are a lot of jargons. But basically what it means is, from 7 years to now, I can actually not carry a purse, just my phone. I can walk around anywhere in my country. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? If somebody takes my phone, I'm stranded, completely screwed up. But yes, there is definitely some benefit to all of this. And fortunately, all of this has been developed by people who believe that it can be shared with the rest of the world. And for the first time, after a long time, there are things that we do as products being used by other governments. And all of this, I don't want to go into each of these layers and all. Somewhere you will find all this. But basically, 4 things I want to talk about, right? When India Stack was developed, the fundamental, the basic concept was you need to have a unique identification for every entity
that wants to either give or take services. And that identity, is it online or offline, that presence mechanism, because of the penetration of our phone systems that happened luckily or unluckily for us with the Reliance Jio, so many mobile phones getting connected, that became a almost near reality. We have 86% coverage today on the mobile phone network. That doesn't mean all of the people are connected. Only 55% of the people are actually truly connected. Even if they are connected, they are not continuously connected. Only small percentage, low double-digit percentage is on always on internet. Most of the people are on prepaid plans, rationed internet. On average, one of the statistic is less than 50 rupees per month is spent on internet access by more than 60% of the people who have phones. Such a sad thing, no? Less than 50 rupees is spent prepaid. Our country is almost prepaid. You have to understand this. So just because we have coverage doesn't mean we have equitable, meaningful access to internet. So most of the services that are on India Stack are available, but I don't know if they are accessible. And as at Internet Society, we really truly passionately believe that internet should be available, free, accessible, high quality, all the time, everywhere, resilient. But it's not easy. It's not real yet. All what we are trying to do is, other than the presence, most of the transactions should be paperless. That means you should be able to authenticate yourself and validate yourself without having to go and sign another form for it. So that has been almost achieved. And again, you should be able to transfer money at your command with your intent. And lastly, you should own your personal data, the DigiLocker, all of that stuff. So these things are very basic to digital citizenship. And India Stack defines that and is able to achieve it to a large extent. I won't say it's efficient. I don't say it is a silver bullet, it's all solving every problem. But now let us hear a little story of how it is in 2003, right? So we are talking about this 38-year-old college-educated person who's in a tier 2 city. What is tier 2 city? Warangal or Karimnagar or one of these cities close by, right? Yeah. So she's a small business owner. She wants to sell her clothing line. Now, she puts all her information in DigiLocker. Very easy to do. Today, any one of you can do this. And then she's going to Delhi. She comes to Hyderabad, goes to Delhi to meet the vendors, and she uses DigiYatra. It's accessible. You can also, if you take a ticket on, it's fairly easy. And then she lands in Delhi. She can hire a taxi, OECN, ONDC, all of these, not just Uber apps. You have normal taxis also accepting digital payments now. She'll pay in digital. Next. At the end of the day, she scans her UPI code, pays the money. She avoids the Delhi traffic. She goes to the hotel and orders food on ONDC, gets her food, and at the end, this is not mine. This is lifted from Times, but I love this whole cartoon, right? So it kind of illustrates what I'm feeling today. Have you seen her purse, clutch, wallet anywhere? So all of this journey has become digital. And that's a good thing, right? So, next, open source. There is a lot of confusion around what is open source, what is free software, what are the different types of free software, open source. See, essentially, open source software is where you are able to read the source code. Your source code is transparent. Now, your source code can be transparent and still be paid for, right? That is access to code. Like today, some really large companies, the technology that I am familiar with, VMware, provides source code to all the universities. Access to source code is there. That doesn't mean you will be able to use that for your benefit without paying them. So even though the source is open, it need not be free. Now, just because it is free, source code need not be open. So there are a lot of tools that you use, download and use any of these SSL, some of these tools that you normally use, right? What do you use to connect to remote machines? No, what is it? Teams. TeamViewer. TeamViewer is closed source, but it is free. So just because something is closed source doesn't mean it is not free. So what we are talking about open source in the context that we are talking about, they should be free and open source. So it is always good to take care of tools that are free and open source and also extendable without any additional license fee. So there are organizations like MIT that have created good licensing models. Then there are some cheating licensing models like AGPL, where you say, okay, you can use, but if you do anything, you have to give back and you have to publish your special. So with MIT license, whatever you do, you use it for commercial, non-commercial, any purpose, you should be able to do open source. Those are the type of tools that we want to encourage our governments to use, so that we are not dependent on anybody for our future, right? So that is something that, and in that spirit, go to the next slide. Here we will invite Ramesh to tell us about MOSIP project, which is like the Aadhaar framework that is used in multiple other countries. So I can switch to that, right?
Ramesh, you want to share your screen to control it?
Yeah.
Sure. I've started presenting.
Yeah.
Proceed.
One second. Admit, and then
You share this particular screen.
yeah, I'll share this screen.
This screen.
All right.
Full screen.
Okay. How do we do
Escape
it?
this. Extend it.
All right.
Extend.
So let me skip from this. Sorry for the technology glitches.
Stop sharing. Stop sharing.
Right. And yeah, wait 1 minute. So yeah,
You share this. You share this.
I'll share this and then I'll make it mirror so that both the screens show the same thing. That's better. Where is the displays?
Slideshow is better,
Which is where is this? Sorry guys. Mirror
You slideshow the ECC.
sorry.
To close the window.
Yeah.
Slideshow is
Okay.
You are still in a slideshow mode.
Okay. Quick. One second. We're done now. All right.
Yeah, you're done. You just admit that and expand. That's it.
Right.
Expand.
All right. Good. Yeah, Ramesh, you're on.
Thank you. Just sharing my screen. Is it visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah.
Put it in slideshow.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for giving me the opportunity to talk about MOSIP. I'll take the next 10 minutes or so to quickly walk you through what MOSIP is, and maybe can take a few questions after that. MOSIP is basically an open source identity platform. It is built with. Hello.
Yeah.
Are you able to listen to me? You hear me?
Yeah. You go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, I'll try to speak louder in case you're not able to hear clearly.
Now.
Okay. MOSIP is actually a modular open source identity platform. We are a program at the IIIT Bangalore University. We are a non-profit and non-revenue project. We are totally funded by grants. We have currently support from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, NORAD, Pratiksha Trust, and Tata Trusts. So what do we do actually? So our job is to basically build platforms for countries to use and support these countries. And we just don't build a platform, we also build an ecosystem which will support these countries as part of their deployment and go-live strategies. And we also work on the roadmap of these platforms through research and collaboration to keep the ball rolling and keep the platform cutting edge. I'll just go back to our origin and say how we all started. So we are inspired by Aadhaar. When Aadhaar was first built more than a decade ago and launched in India, the world was watching. And then once Aadhaar's usefulness came to light, a lot of countries were interested in getting similar systems. So they started making India a pilgrimage destination to understand how to do digital. Like, it was very effective in showcasing a lot of benefits. But then Aadhaar was made for India and is a closed source solution. And when these countries required their own solution, something that they could own and run, they needed something else. So that is where MOSIP was born, as an open source platform rather than a solution, a platform that could be adapted to local needs and customized to local contexts and made available and owned by the countries that are operating their ID system. So we looked at a very principle-led development approach where we are looking at how to solve problems like inclusion, how to make sure that the application is secure, how we value privacy of individuals' data, how the platform itself is designed to scale, be extensible, interoperable, easy to integrate with existing solutions, and so on. So with all this in mind, we wanted to build this platform, and that is what we did since 2018. And in the 5 years, we have actually made significant progress in the platform as well as its adoption. Today, our platform has several digital public goods which are there in it. And what we are doing with these digital public goods is help countries embark on their digital journey. So when we say a digital journey, we are talking about the government being digital, the social interactions within the country being digital, business being digital, and so on. So we are looking at digital governance and digital societies as such. And all this has ID, or the ability to identify an individual, a business, and all at the core. So ours is actually a ID-led development and transformation strategy. So with this, we have built various public goods, as I was mentioning. MOSIP itself was a core identity issuance and verification platform. And then we have built ways to use this ID using other solutions like eSignet and NG. And on top of this ID infrastructure, we have also started integrating other solutions like OpenCRVS, which is an open source civil registry system which can manage births, wedding registrations and so on. And also a benefits management solution called OpenG2P, which can be used for government benefit schemes to benefit citizens. G2P is basically government to person. So these are the kind of solutions that we have been working on. As a result, we have 3 large DPGs on the ID side that we have built. DPG is basically digital public good. All these 3 properties are open source and available to be white labeled and deployed as national solutions. When I say white labeled and deployed as national solutions, it means that we have a permissible license which allows countries to use this as a base for their own branded solution. So I'll give an example. MOSIP is used in the Philippines as PhilSys. PhilSys is their ID solution. We have a Mozilla public license on the basis of which these are made available. What it means is that a core, our core, is something that can be intact and is something that we can maintain, but all extensions, all additional innovations, integrations can be owned by whoever is making those. So it is a very permissible license which allows business also to be done while allowing open source maintenance for the core possible. Very briefly, as I mentioned, the MOSIP platform is for issuing an identity, managing its life cycle, updates, change in address, change in communication handles such as email and phone number and those kind of things. We are a system that supports biometrics for identity verification. So we have ID verification mechanisms which support OTPs as well as biometrics based authentication. But going beyond a centralized server based identity solution, we also have built a wallet based support where we use digitally signed credentials. So we all carry Aadhaar cards, which are either a piece of paper that we laminate and keep, or the new PVC cards that they are issuing. But you also would have heard of mAadhaar, which is a digital card, a digital version of it. So we support a digital version natively right from the beginning, and this digital version can be stored in a wallet. We have a wallet called Inji, and inside this wallet you can store not just the ID credential, but you can also store other documents, other credentials like birth certificates, degree certificates, and so on. And this wallet also contains an authenticator which allows you to authenticate yourselves and digitally sign anything that you are sharing. So what this means is we support consent, we support signing of documents, we ensure that the person is actually participating in a digital transaction. It is not being done by somebody else. So it brings a lot of non-repudiation trust as part of any digital transaction, that the person is actually part of it, while also putting them totally in control, right? Nobody else can actually perform this transaction. They have to perform this transaction and they are aware that they are part of this. So this reduces fraud, identity theft, those kind of scenarios also. But apart from putting the user in control, we also have made life easy by creating this solution called e-Signet. We all are very familiar with how we use Google maybe as a way to sign in into any number of online properties, right? If you don't have to create accounts in various systems, you can just sign in with Google or Facebook or LinkedIn and so on. So we also make the national ID powerful by allowing people to sign in with this national ID into various services. This means that you just create one set of digital credentials and then you can use them elsewhere, and you manage its usage and you control. So that is what e-Signet provides. It provides a single login, and if there are multiple IDs at play, it can also support federation. So for example, if the digital ID is Aadhaar or your passport or your voter ID card, it can allow any one of those to be potentially used. Any kind of authorized, accepted ID credential could be used with e-Signet. But we all know that what's the point of holding an ID, right? ID is just a starting point. What we are looking at is how to make this ID useful. We have seen in India that giving a digital ID and making eKYC simple has increased financial inclusion. The number of bank accounts that have been opened, all these UPI transactions that we do, all these have been enabled because things have become simpler, right? And in this process, what we are actually doing is enabling a use case on the financial side. Similarly, healthcare, education, emergency relief, social programs, even private sector usage, employability, banking, insurance, any kind of service delivery, any kind of place where we need to prove our ID, maybe in e-commerce, or maybe just to prove that we are over 18 in a particular case to get access to something. So all these are enabled through ID. So how to use ID, not just in the local context, not just with the government, but everywhere, and not just in the country of issue, but across borders. That's what we are looking at enabling, and we continuously work with various solutions. We publish reference integrations and solutions on how ID can be put to use. At present, our footprint includes 11 countries whom we have actively engaged with. 4 of them have full rollouts at the national level, and 5 of them have pilots that have been done, and 2 more rollouts are actually coming up. We have presence in Asia as well as in Africa. We are also engaging with countries on other continents, but they are not listed yet for confidentiality purposes. And we work with these countries through an ecosystem. We are at this point of time having 80 plus partners. It is slowly approaching 100. We have multiple kinds of partners who work with us, people who provide biometric solutions, people who do integration, people who do deployment, and so on. So there is a partner program which allows agencies, right from startups to large companies, to get themselves trained with our help and become capable in working with MOSIP, and they can take up different levels of partnership based on their expertise. So these are open to companies in India as well as abroad, and this is what we have built, and this ecosystem is the one which actually goes and implements the pilots and the solutions. We don't go and do the national rollouts ourselves. We are just a platform developer. So as I mentioned, we are open source. Our code is available on GitHub. Our documentation is also public at docs.posip.io. We have an active community which you can reach us out to. Please feel free to explore and reach out to us to ask questions and figure out ways to contribute and participate if it interests. And this is something which has been primarily driven out of India with a large development force here, but there is also global participation with contributions coming in from other parts of the world.
Ramesh,
thank you very much.
Ramesh, can you go to the previous slide? Everybody wants to take pictures of that. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So, any questions for Ramesh? Yeah.
So I just wanted to know whether the data what they are trying to process is available, at least some part of the data is available for researchers somewhere, so that we can use it.
Ramesh, is the data in MOSIP systems open? Is it available for researchers?
At least some part of it.
We only offer the platform. The solutions are deployed by respective countries, and the data belongs to those countries. We don't get access to that data. If they make it public, yes. Otherwise, no.
Got it.
What is the process to join MOSIP? If Nepal wanted to liberate
if Nepal or other countries want to join, what is the process? If some
you can just write to us. On our website we have a set of email addresses that you can reach us out to. Even even the list of people who handle the dissemination are listed in the website, so you can reach out to any of them, and we'll be happy to help out.
This is a general question, not necessarily for the MOSIP, but I understand MOSIP is providing the platform like Aadhaar for various services, right? Here, very hypothetical question, something to be researched. Can an individual be as an anonymous entity exist on the platform, availing the services provided by the state? That means he is empowered with, but at the same time he is not subjected to surveillance. Because what I'm hearing here is more of that kind of a thing. So is there a platform conceived with those notions? Is it possible, because there are issues to do with privacy, security, and all those aspects were discussed. But then are we addressing the anonymous entity as an entity?
Ramesh, can we have anonymous presence inside Aadhaar, enjoying the benefits but not surveillance?
Well, I don't want to answer any questions about India.
He doesn't want to answer anything about India.
But I will talk about how we handle this in MOSIP.
So which will solve a lot of our problems to do with the security, privacy, everything that we are talking about here.
So he wants to talk about what he does inside the platform for other countries. He doesn't want to talk about India.
No, I'm not asking any country to talk. Any country to talk. I'm asking, is
it possible?
Is it possible at least to conceive that?
Yeah. The way, let's talk about. Okay. See, the way we, as I said, right, ours is a very principle-led development with security and privacy as key for what we are doing, and we are trying to solve basically for establishing digital trust. See, trust is at the root for any successful system. If I try to go to the airport, like the person whom you referred to earlier, Ramkaran, and try to board a flight, they will not let me board the flight unless they will trust me, right? So any kind of transaction requires trust. But there are certain kind of transactions where the level of trust required is very low, where the person who is accessing the service can essentially be anonymous. But there are other transactions where the trust required is higher, where we need to know something about them, but not necessarily know them fully. So we support, through our credentials design, selective disclosure, which can just be disclosure saying, hey, this person is above 18, or this person lives in this state of the country, right? But not disclose their address, not disclose their name. Maybe a photograph of them would be there, so that whoever is consuming can look at them and say, okay, it's the same person, right? So we offer that. So yeah, exactly. So we do offer a lot of anonymity.
All the attributes are there with that entity, but the who is not disclosed. So except at the time of availing, maybe some checks are needed. But he is not subjected to, he or she is not subjected to any surveillance. Right?
So that they support this selective disclosure.
Selective disclosure.
Yes. So that's
and on the surveillance side, I can tell you that there is no biometric search on the platform. You cannot give a biometric and say, give a photograph and say, can you find out who this person is and give the record? Okay, so that doesn't exist in the platform, so you can't actually technically use it for surveillance at all.
Can you please elaborate on the licensing policies of the?
This is MPL. Yeah. It's Mozilla Public License.
Mozilla Public License too.
For an example, if I take the source code, it's openly available, and modify according to our requirement.
Right.
And then can we commercialize it?
Yeah. There are a lot of companies who are building on top of Mozilla. That's what the integration partners are doing.
You can commercialize. You are not supposed to change the core components. The non-core components, we have made it available as a MIT license so that you are free to change and not publish it back. But the core components, which multiple countries have to consume, which has to remain intact, is MPL. You are free to add code to that and extend it. But if you are changing the code, we expect you to either fork it and keep it as your own version, or contribute.
So,
thank you.
Thank you, Ramesh. Really, Ramesh joined me at very short notice, and we worked together in SIFI long time back. It's very kind of him to take this time. And let me go back to the rest of the presentation. You can reach out to the MOSIP team through their URLs, right? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, very nice.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So let's go back to the yeah, just a few more slides.
This is recession.
No, but it is good, right? Whatever this was very.
You walk us through a case study.
Philippines had already adopted it. So Nepal should be actually the next one, Vikram. Yeah. Make sure that Nepal should share the
Yeah. Where is this?
That's on the thesis session back now.
Yeah, I'm sharing.
Share the screen.
Yeah, good. All right. All right. What happened? All right, guys. So let me come to some of the interesting projects that I thought would help create digital public goods. The first one is one of my favorite tools, my son's favorite tool, OBS. In the positive time, I won't run the entire presentation of how to do things. It was a 7-minute video for creating or using OBS. So you can find this tutorial online. I'll just skip it and go to the next.
With OBS Studio. Dear all, welcome to this new.
So the next platform is called Console. This is a very beautiful platform. If you're a community, if you are a small government, if you are a small village, if you want to run government inside that village, like you want people to vote on initiatives, you want to do very simple deployment, this Console is a very cool platform to do that. I'm going to just run one example of that. This is a short video. And then we have.
What was the message?
So basically, you want to run your own government, and this is a platform that you can run your government. You can ask for votes. You can put budgets. You can.
From Bangalore of all the cities. The first one was Brigade House. It's a both closed government.
Yeah. So. The next one is a very interesting project. This is spearheaded by our friend Edward Snowden. So this is a very useful application that you can install on Android phones. And you can remotely monitor the logs of that application so that when somebody is going in and doing investigative journalism, activism, investigative journalism, if they are at risk, you can actually help them. So this is a very beautiful app. I was personally impressed by the vision and execution of this app.
Who piloted it?
This is Snowden's.
Edward Snowden just unveiled one of his newest projects, a security app, Haven, developed by the Guardian Project and Snowden's Freedom of the Press Foundation, turns any Android phone into a motion, sound, vibration, and light detector. Using either Signal or Tor, both of which use encryption technology, users can monitor the phone's event log remotely and privately. Haven isn't available for iOS devices, but the developers recommend buying an Android burner, which can cost less than $100. Snowden says the app was designed for, quote, investigative journalists, human rights defenders, and people at risk of forced disappearance.
So let's go to some of these apps that are useful for the community, right? Now, this is one of my favorite works of AI. We in fact started developing an app, developing a physical LiDAR-based height measurement for children, touchless height measurement. But when we saw this, literally I had tears in my eyes the way they did it. So this is called Children's Growth Monitor. You know, the portion tracker that yesterday people were talking about, they're not focused on child. You still have to measure the child with the tape and all of that. Now look at this, how they have done it. This is really AI for public good. Lot of kids die. That's how you measure. We wanted to eliminate that head thing. We made a LiDAR-based measurement for that. But see how they have done it. This is accurate to 1.64 centimeters. Yeah.
What are the parameters you just taken back to the social height?
You can actually, because of the mass density, you can actually measure the weight of the person and all of that. It's a complete AI-based learning model. So now this is another important app. This is MapX. So this is open source mapping software where you can add your content for your purpose, right? And you can actually open source it. For example, you can go and collect lat-long data and import it into your own instance of MapX, not even the central instance. You can actually deploy it. It's completely open source. See what, for example, today Hamas, all of these conflict zones are there, right? It's you can literally go in. Instead of demonstrate, yeah. This is a use case where this is used for figuring out impact on ocean. So let me just, this is a really cool platform. We can just see it live. Let me just show you how the platform works. MapX.
You just need to give the latter one.
So you can actually. So there are a lot of people who have contributed. For example, all of these are different data sets on top of MapX. So marine ecosystem. What happened? Whole time. Okay. I was just getting excited. So
we are also, but it's restricted.
So this is a real example of all the conflict zones right now in the world. This is the so that let
people can explore.
Yeah, I'll just end my presentation in a minute.
What have you done in the conflict zone you were mentioning? What should we use in the conflict zone for?
So my point is, somebody is you can actually track it on MapX.
Play from current slide.
The destruction of the
Play from current slide.
Yeah. Play from current slide. So the last one is Moodle, and this is a LMS system in which you can actually create. In fact, using AI, you can create question banks and all that. I will just a little bit of plug on what we do at Internet Society. We are the umbrella organization for internet engineering and all of the stuff that goes on with helping the internet be a better place. And this is a nice little video about Internet Society. Thank you very much. Let's all work to make the internet free, easily accessible, and for everyone. Thank you.
Grow the internet, strengthen the internet, future of internet.
Please say. Bala is the secretary of ISOP here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a beautiful session.
Thank you. So much of energy. Thank you, sir. Yeah. You didn't allow us to sleep.
Yeah, thank you.
When did ISOC start in Hyderabad?
No, Hyderabad.
Just now?
Yeah. We were all initial crazy people.
When Satyam was here, you guys were not here.